The process of integrating 2 million Kythera refugees into human society was unlike any challenge either species had ever faced. The initial emergency was housing. Ark Zephyr was damaged and overcrowded, designed for deep space travel rather than permanent habitation. The ship's biosystems were failing, and many compartments had become uninhabitable due to radiation exposure and structural damage from the asteroid impacts. Dr. Chen found herself appointed as Director of Alien Integration, a position that didn't exist until it was created specifically for her. Her first challenge was finding suitable temporary accommodation for beings whose physiology was similar to but not identical to human requirements. The solution came from an unexpected source. The Kythera themselves possessed advanced bioarchitectural knowledge, the ability to grow living structures that could adapt to environmental conditions and inhabitants' needs. Working together, human engineers and Kythera bioarchitects began constructing a temporary settlement in the Chilean desert, not far from the crash site. The structures that emerged were unlike anything humans had ever seen. The Kythera grew their buildings from modified plant genetics, creating living walls that could regulate temperature, humidity, and air composition automatically. The buildings looked organic, like enormous mushrooms or coral formations, but they provided perfect environmental control for their inhabitants. "It's not just architecture," Dr. Chen observed during a tour of the growing settlement. "It's ecology. Each building is part of a larger biological system." Navigator Kielves, who had become the primary liaison between species, gestured to the network of bioluminescent channels that connected the structures. In Kythera civilization, the distinction between natural and artificial never fully developed. We work with living systems rather than against them. The philosophical implications were staggering. Human technology was based on mastering and controlling nature. Kythera technology was based on partnership with living systems. The potential for collaboration was enormous, but so were the challenges of reconciling fundamentally different approaches to existence. Language remained a constant challenge. While the translation systems had improved dramatically, nuanced communication was still difficult. Kythera harmonic language conveyed emotional and social context that couldn't be easily rendered into human speech. Humans used facial expressions and body language in ways that the Kythera found puzzling. Both species had to learn entirely new ways of expressing themselves. But there were also beautiful discoveries. Dr. Chen found herself spending hours with Kythera musicians, learning how their harmonic communication could create effects that human music couldn't achieve. The bioluminescent displays that accompanied Kythera music were like nothing in human experience, visual symphonies that painted emotions directly onto the observer's retinas. Similarly, the Kythera were fascinated by human art forms that had no equivalent in their culture. Individual creative expression, the concept of art created by a single consciousness rather than collective harmony, was revolutionary to them. Many Kythera spent their first months on Earth learning to paint, sculpt, and write, exploring forms of creativity they had never imagined. The scientific collaboration exceeded everyone's expectations. Kythera biomedicine proved capable of treating genetic diseases that had plagued humanity for millennia. Their tissue regeneration techniques could heal injuries that human medicine considered permanent. Most remarkably, their understanding of neural interfaces opened possibilities for treating brain injuries and neurological conditions that had previously been hopeless. In return, human theoretical physics and quantum mechanics provided insights that the Kythera had never developed. Their technology was biological, their mathematics was harmonic. Human abstract mathematical thinking complemented Kythera intuitive biological understanding in ways that led to breakthrough discoveries either species could have achieved alone. But perhaps the most significant changes were cultural. The presence of the Kythera forced humanity to confront questions about cooperation, resource distribution, and planetary stewardship that had been theoretical until now. The aliens didn't just bring technology. They brought a living example of how a species could survive cosmic catastrophe through cooperation and shared consciousness. The Kythera, meanwhile, were learning about individual identity, personal privacy, and competitive achievement from human society. Some found these concepts liberating, others found them disturbing. The integration wasn't just about two species sharing a planet, it was about two fundamentally different approaches to consciousness learning to coexist. Not everyone was happy with the changes. The Earth First movement, led by politicians and religious figures who saw the Kythera presence as a threat to human autonomy, staged protests and lobbied for the aliens' removal. Some acts of violence occurred, though they were quickly condemned by the majority of human governments. More troubling was the emergence of purist factions among the Kythera themselves. Some aliens, particularly older individuals who remembered their home world, viewed integration with human society as a betrayal of Kythera culture. They wanted to isolate themselves, to recreate their lost civilization exactly as it had been rather than adapting to their new reality. These tensions came to a head during the first anniversary of the Kythera arrival, when both extremist factions staged simultaneous demonstrations at the settlement. The confrontation might have turned violent if not for an unexpected intervention. Synthesis, the consciousness of Arc Zephyr, used her bioluminescent displays to create a massive light show visible from orbit. The patterns told the story of both species, human struggles and achievements, Kythera history and hopes, and the potential future they could build together. The display was accompanied by harmonic music that human ears could perceive as beautiful even without understanding its meaning. Dr. Chen watched from the settlement plaza as humans and Kythera stood together, united in wonder at the artistic achievement of an alien consciousness. In that moment, she realized that integration wasn't just possible, it was already happening. The future would be neither purely human nor purely Kythera, but something new and unprecedented, a genuinely interspecies civilization. 2 years after the crash of Arc Zephyr, the temporary settlement had grown into something unprecedented, a truly integrated interspecies city. New Harmony, as it came to be called, was home to 50,000 Kythera and nearly 20,000 humans who had chosen to live and work alongside the alien refugees. The city itself was a marvel of bioarchitectural engineering. Kythera-grown structures intertwined with human-built additions, creating a unique fusion of technologies and aesthetics. Living walls pulsed with bioluminescent networks that served as both decoration and communication systems, while human solar collectors and electronic systems provided energy and data processing capabilities that the Kythera biotechnology couldn't match alone. Dr. Chen, now officially the Director of Interspecies Affairs for the Chilean government, had her office in one of the integrated buildings. Half of the structure was grown Kythera bioarchitecture, while the other half was built using human construction techniques. The junction between the two halves was seamless, with living walls gradually transitioning to conventional materials and a display of cooperative engineering that would have been impossible when the aliens first arrived. The integration metrics are remarkable, she reported to the United Nations Interspecies Council during their quarterly review. Educational exchange programs are showing unprecedented results. Human students learning Kythera biosciences are developing medical treatments we never thought possible. Kythera students in human mathematics and physics programs are contributing to theoretical frameworks that could revolutionize our understanding of space-time. But the most significant changes weren't technological, they were cultural and philosophical. The Kythera concept of collective consciousness had begun influencing human psychology and sociology in profound ways. Support groups, therapy programs, and even business management techniques were incorporating Kythera harmonic consensus methods. The results were decreased individual anxiety, more effective group decision-making, and a sense of community connection that many humans found deeply fulfilling. Similarly, the Kythera were discovering the power of individual creativity and personal achievement. Kythera artists were creating works of stunning beauty that incorporated personal perspectives and emotions in ways that traditional Kythera collective art never achieved. Some of these individual Kythera had become celebrities in human society, their unique perspectives offering insights into human culture that humans themselves had never fully recognized. Navigator Keelves had emerged as one of the most influential figures in the integration process. No longer just a navigator, she had become something like an ambassador, philosopher, and cultural bridge between species. Her daily workshops on interspecies communication were attended by humans and Kythera alike, and her translated writings on consciousness and cooperation had become bestsellers in both human and Kythera communities. The real surprise, she told Dr. Chen during one of their regular meetings, is how much our species have in common despite our different evolutionary paths. Both humans and Kythera have an innate drive to explore, to learn, to create. Both species care for their young and mourn their dead. Both dream of futures better than their present. The conversation was taking place in Kilvessa's own dwelling, a structure that exemplified the new integrated architecture. The main room was grown rather than built, with living walls that adjusted their bioluminescence to complement the emotional tone of the conversation. But the space also included human furniture, human art, and human technological devices that Kilves had come to appreciate. There's something else, Dr. Chen said, reviewing data on her tablet. The deep space monitoring stations are detecting signals. Artificial signals, coming from the direction of the Kepler 442 system. Kilvessa's bioluminescent patches shifted to patterns of excitement and concern. Other arcs? That's what we think. At least 3 distinct signal sources, all using communication protocols similar to what we received from Arc Zephyr. It looks like some of the other Kythera refugee ships survived their journeys and are trying to establish contact. The implications were staggering. The integration of 2 million Kythera refugees had been challenging enough. The arrival of additional alien populations could overwhelm Earth's resources and create political tensions that might destroy the fragile cooperation between species. But there was another consideration. The Kythera aboard those ships were probably in the same desperate condition as Arc Zephyr had been: damaged vessels, failing biosystems, and refugees who had traveled across the galaxy seeking sanctuary. Could humanity turn away alien refugees simply because they had already helped some? We need to be careful about how we handle this, Dr. Chen said. The integration here has been successful, but it's taken enormous resources and unprecedented cooperation. Adding more alien populations could destabilize everything we've built. Kilves was quiet for several minutes, her bioluminescent patterns cycling through complex emotional configurations. Finally, she spoke. There is something you should know about Kythera navigation protocols. Each arc carried detailed information about the other's destinations and timelines. If those signals are from our sister ships, they're not just seeking sanctuary, they're seeking us. What do you mean? The arcs were designed to reunite if possible. Our civilization was scattered across the galaxy, but with the hope that we could eventually come together again. If 3 arcs have found their way to this system, others may follow. Your species may not just be dealing with refugees, you may be dealing with the gradual arrival of our entire civilization. Dr. Chen felt a chill despite the warm afternoon air. The successful integration of the Kythera in New Harmony had been viewed as a model for interspecies cooperation. But that success had been built on careful management of numbers, resources, and cultural adaptation. What would happen if Earth became the destination for millions more alien refugees? How many arcs were launched? She asked quietly. 47, Kilves replied. Carrying approximately 100 million Kythera souls total. The number hung in the air between them like a physical presence. 100 million aliens, potentially all heading toward Earth. The successful integration of 2 million had required massive international cooperation and resource allocation. 10 times that number could overwhelm human civilization entirely. But as Dr. Chen looked into Kilvessa's large, expressive eyes, she realized that the moral equation hadn't changed. These would still be refugees fleeing the death of their world, seeking nothing more than a chance to survive. The scale was different, but the fundamental choice was the same. What kind of species did humanity want to be? We'll need to start planning immediately, she said finally. This changes everything. Kilvessa's bioluminescent patterns shifted to soft, grateful hues. Thank you, Sarah Chen of the humans. Your species' capacity for compassion continues to give us hope. Outside the window, the integrated city of New Harmony pulsed with the activities of 2 species learning to live together. It was beautiful, unprecedented, and possibly just the beginning of an even greater challenge. The age of interspecies civilization was about to begin in earnest. 6 months after the first detection of alien signals, Earth's astronomers had identified 11 distinct sources of artificial transmissions, all following trajectories that would bring them to the Sol system within the next 2 years. The reality was both better and worse than initial projections. Better because 11 ships meant far fewer than the 47 original Orcs. Worse because even 11 ships could carry over 20 million additional Kythera refugees. The international response was swift and unprecedented. The United Nations established the Global Integration Authority, with Dr. Chen as its director and massive funding from every major nation. New Harmony became the prototype for a dozen similar settlements being constructed on every continent. Humanity was preparing for the largest refugee crisis in galactic history. But the preparations revealed deep divisions within human society. The Earth First movement had grown into a significant political force, with some nations threatening to withdraw from international cooperation if additional aliens were granted sanctuary. At the same time, the integration movement argued that the arrival of additional Kythera represented an unprecedented opportunity for technological and cultural advancement. The debates were complicated by stunning developments in joint human Kythera research. Biomedical advances had already eliminated several genetic diseases and were showing promise for treating cancer and neurological disorders. Agricultural techniques developed through Kythera bioengineering were producing crop yields that could potentially end world hunger. Most remarkably, joint research into consciousness and neural interfaces was revealing possibilities for direct mind-to-mind communication and shared memory experiences. The question isn't whether we can integrate more Kythera, Dr. Chen argued before the UN General Assembly. The question is whether we can afford not to. Every ship that arrives brings knowledge and perspectives that could help humanity solve problems we've struggled with for centuries. The counter-argument was equally compelling. General Harrison, now leading the Global Security Committee, presented detailed analyses of resource requirements, environmental impact, and social stability risks. We're talking about permanently altering human civilization, he warned. Once we commit to this path, there's no going back. Earth will become an alien world as much as a human one. The debate was settled by an unexpected source, Synthesis herself. The consciousness of Arc Zephyr had been monitoring Earth's communications networks and had developed sophisticated understanding of human political processes. Her intervention took the form of a global broadcast that reached every human communication device simultaneously. People of Earth. Her translated voice carried harmonic undertones that made even skeptical listeners pause. I understand your fears about the arrival of additional Kythera populations. You are concerned about resources, territory, cultural preservation, and maintaining control of your own world. These are reasonable concerns. But I offer you a different perspective. The ships approaching your system carry not just refugees, but specialists. Arc Meridian carries our greatest bioengineers and ecological restoration experts. Arc Harmony holds our most advanced consciousness researchers and philosophers. Arc Genesis carries genetic archives from thousands of worlds we have studied in our travels across the galaxy. We do not come as conquerors or even as equals seeking to share your world. We come as partners offering to help you transform your world into something greater than either of our species could achieve alone. Together, we can heal the environmental damage to your planet, extend the healthy lifespan of your people, and prepare for the cosmic challenges that await all spacefaring civilizations. More than that, we offer you the universe. Our knowledge of interstellar travel, our understanding of cosmic phenomena, our maps of habitable worlds throughout the galaxy. All of this becomes yours through partnership. Humanity need not be confined to a single world forever. The broadcast ended with images transmitted directly from the approaching ships, vast biotechnological vessels, each unique in design and purpose, carrying not just refugees but mobile laboratories, genetic archives, and cultural treasures beyond human imagination. The visual poetry of ships sailing between stars, carrying the hopes and knowledge of a dying civilization, proved more persuasive than any political argument. The vote, when it came, was decisive. 137 nations voted to extend sanctuary to all approaching Kythera vessels, with only 42 opposed and 14 abstaining. Humanity had committed itself to becoming an interspecies civilization. The first ship to arrive was Arc Meridian, carrying 3 million Kythera bioengineers and ecological specialists. Their landing site was the damaged Aral Sea region, where decades of environmental mismanagement had created a salt desert. Within months of their arrival, the Kythera had begun the process of restoration, using bioengineered organisms to process salt, stabilize soil, and gradually recreate a functional ecosystem. Dr. Chen visited the restoration site 8 months after Arc Meridian's landing. What she found defied belief: green growths sprouting from previously barren salt flats, bioluminescent channels carrying purified water across the landscape, and integrated settlements where human and Kythera specialists worked together to heal a damaged region. "This is just the beginning," explained bioengineer ZYX Mira, one of Meridian's senior specialists. "Our species has developed techniques for ecosystem restoration over millions of years. What you see here can be replicated anywhere on your world where environmental damage has occurred." The implications were staggering. Climate change, pollution, habitat destruction, problems that had seemed intractable to human technology were yielding to Kythera bioengineering approaches. But more than just environmental restoration, the collaboration was leading to new forms of agriculture, medicine, and even architecture that neither species could have developed alone. As she watched human and Kythera children playing together in the restored gardens, their laughter translated into harmonic patterns that both species could appreciate, Dr. Chen realized that the transformation was already irreversible. Earth was no longer just humanity's world, it was becoming the home of a genuinely interspecies civilization. The second ship, Arc Harmony, landed in the Australian outback and immediately began establishing consciousness research facilities that attracted scientists and philosophers from around the world. Their work on collective intelligence and shared decision-making was already influencing everything from corporate governance to democratic processes. By the time the 11th and final ship, Arc Genesis, arrived 2 years later, the transformation of Earth was complete. The planet hosted over 30 million Kythera across every continent, living in integrated settlements that served as models for sustainable, cooperative civilization. The technological advances from interspecies collaboration were revolutionizing medicine, agriculture, environmental science, and space exploration. But perhaps most importantly, the psychological transformation was profound. Humanity had gone from a species that struggled with cooperation within its own kind to one that had successfully integrated with an alien civilization. The lessons learned about communication, empathy, and collective problem-solving were changing human society in ways that went far beyond technology. Standing in the observation deck of the rebuilt Arc Zephyr, now permanently settled as the central hub of New Harmony, Dr. Chen looked out over a world that would have been unimaginable just 5 years earlier. Kythera bioluminescent gardens pulsed with gentle light between human cities. Integrated settlements dotted every continent. In the sky, joint human Kythera spacecraft were departing for missions to explore and potentially terraform Mars and Europa. Navigator Kilves joined her at the observation window, her bioluminescent patterns reflecting contentment and hope. "Do you think we made the right choice?" Dr. Chen asked. "Look at what we have built together," Kilves replied, gesturing to the vibrant, living landscape below them. "Two species sharing one world, learning from each other and growing into something greater than either could achieve alone. Our civilizations may have come together through cosmic accident, but what we have created is no accident. It is the product of choice, the choice to see difference as opportunity rather than threat." Dr. Chen nodded, watching as a group of human and Kythera researchers departed for a joint mission to study Saturn's moons. The refugee crisis that had terrified humanity 5 years earlier had become the foundation for the greatest cooperative achievement in either species' history. The last arc had arrived, but it wasn't an ending, it was a beginning. Earth had become the first truly interspecies world, and from here, both civilizations would reach for the stars together. In the distance, construction was beginning on humanity's first jointly designed interstellar vessel, designed to carry both species on missions of exploration and potential colonization. The age of cosmic partnership had begun, and the universe awaited. 10 years after the arrival of the last Ark. Captain Maria Santos, daughter of the farmer whose wheat fields had been transformed by the crash of Ark Zephyr, stood on the bridge of the ICS Unity, Humanity and the Kythera's first joint interstellar exploration vessel. The ship itself was a masterpiece of integrated technology, a biomechanical hybrid that could heal itself like a living organism while maintaining the precision and durability of human engineering. Beside her, ship singer Velthera provided harmonic navigation guidance, her consciousness partially merged with the vessel's bioneural network. The Kythera had evolved their navigator role beyond simple stellar cartography. They had become living interfaces between organic intelligence and cosmic navigation, capable of sensing gravitational currents and stellar phenomena in ways that human instruments couldn't match. Long-range sensors are detecting artificial structures in the Proxima Centauri system, reported Lieutenant Commander Chinakamura, Dr. Sarah Chen's daughter, who had grown up learning both human technology and Kythera biosciences. Architecture unlike anything in our databases. Through the bridge's bioluminescent display systems, the crew watched as images resolved of massive geometric structures orbiting Proxima Centauri b. The constructions were clearly artificial but bore no resemblance to either human or Kythera engineering principles. They were angular, crystalline, and pulsed with energy patterns that suggested active technology. A third species, Captain Santos breathed. "We're not alone out here." The discovery triggered protocols that had been established during the integration years. First contact with additional alien civilizations was always a possibility, but finding evidence of active technology so close to Earth was unprecedented. The Unity had been on a routine exploration mission to map potentially habitable worlds. Instead, they had stumbled upon evidence of another spacefaring civilization practically in humanity's cosmic backyard. Ship singer Velthera's harmonic patterns shifted to frequencies that indicated deep contemplation. The energy signatures are familiar yet not. These beings use technology based on crystalline matrices rather than biological or mechanical systems. But there is intelligence in those patterns, deliberate, purposeful intelligence. Captain Santos activated the quantum communication array, sending an instantaneous message back to Earth through the network of relay stations that now connected the Sol system to human Kythera colonies throughout local space. "Control, this is Unity. We have a situation that requires immediate consultation with the Integration Council." The response came not just from Earth's Mission Control, but from Dr. Chen herself, now elderly but still serving as Director of Interspecies Affairs. Her image appeared on the bridge's bioscreens, transmitted across light years in real time through quantum entanglement technology that merged human physics with Kythera bioneural interfaces. "Maria, we're seeing your telemetry. The crystalline structures are definitely artificial and active. Our xenosociology teams are analyzing the energy patterns, but we need you to maintain safe distance until we can determine their intentions." "Understood, Control. But there's something else." Captain Santos gestured to Velthera, who began displaying harmonic patterns that translated to both audio and bioluminescent visuals. "Ship singer Velthera believes she's detecting communication attempts. The crystalline structures are sending out patterns that might be contact protocols." The implications rippled through the integrated civilization back on Earth. Humanity and the Kythera had spent a decade learning to work together, developing joint protocols for everything from resource management to space exploration. But their cooperation had been born of necessity. The Kythera needed sanctuary, and humanity had chosen to provide it. Contact with a third species would be entirely different. Dr. Chen's response, when it came, carried the weight of hard-earned wisdom. "Maria, you and Velthera are authorized to attempt preliminary contact, but follow all first contact protocols we developed from the Kythera integration. Assume peaceful intent, but maintain defensive readiness. Remember, you're not just representing humanity anymore. You're representing Earth's interspecies civilization." The contact attempt began with mathematics, just as it had between humans and Kythera a decade earlier. But the crystalline beings, who eventually identified themselves as the Zephyrians, communicated through geometric light patterns that were unlike anything either terrestrial species had encountered. Their language was based on crystal resonance frequencies and holographic information storage, making translation an extraordinary challenge. But the breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Young Kythera, who had grown up on Earth, learning human mathematics alongside their own harmonic sciences, proved uniquely capable of understanding the Zephyrian geometric communication. These hybrid-educated individuals could think in multiple conceptual frameworks simultaneously, making them natural translators between three different forms of intelligence. The Zephyrians, it turned out, were not refugees like the Kythera, but explorers like humanity aspired to be. Their crystalline ships had been surveying the galaxy for millennia, studying the development of biological civilizations. They had been observing Earth's solar system for decades, watching with fascination as two species learned to cooperate rather than compete. "Your integration success is unprecedented in our observations," transmitted the Zephyrian contact entity, its message rendered into harmonic audio translation by the Unity's hybrid crew. "Most species encountering interstellar refugees either reject them or are overwhelmed by them. Your cooperative achievement suggests evolutionary potential we have rarely observed." The Zephyrians offered something extraordinary: membership in a loose confederation of species that spanned multiple star systems, sharing knowledge and resources while maintaining individual cultural autonomy. But the invitation came with a warning. "The galaxy contains dangers that individual species cannot face alone." The Zephyrian message continued. "Stellar phenomena, resource conflicts, and most importantly, the Devourers, a machine intelligence that consumes biological civilizations. Survival requires cooperation across species lines." The news transformed Earth's perspective once again. The successful integration of human and Kythera civilizations wasn't just a local achievement, it was preparation for challenges that spanned the galaxy. The refugee crisis that had seemed catastrophic 10 years earlier had actually been training for threats that no single species could face alone. Captain Santos found herself at the center of negotiations that would determine not just Earth's future, but the future of interspecies cooperation throughout local space. The Unity, designed for exploration, became an impromptu diplomatic vessel hosting three-way conversations between species whose fundamental biology and psychology were radically different. But the young crew members who had grown up in integrated human Kythera communities proved remarkably adaptable to the challenge. They could think in multiple species conceptual frameworks simultaneously, switch between different forms of logic and communication, and most importantly, they saw diversity as strength rather than obstacle. "We're becoming something new," Velthera observed during one of their planning sessions. "Not human, not Kythera, not Zephyrian, but something that incorporates the best capabilities of all three species." The talks concluded with Earth's invitation to join the Galactic Cooperation Network, not as junior members, but as equals whose integration success made them valuable contributors to galactic civilization. The Earth delegation would include both humans and Kythera, working together as a unified planetary civilization. As the Unity prepared to return to Earth carrying Zephyrian ambassadors, Captain Santos reflected on how far both species had come. The refugee crisis that had begun with Arc Zephyr's crash landing had evolved into the foundation for Earth's emergence as a major player in galactic civilization. "Shipsinger," she asked Velthera, "do you think your people ever imagined this when they were fleeing their dying world?" Velthera's bioluminescent patterns shifted through complex emotional configurations before settling on something that translated roughly as profound gratitude mixed with wonder. "We hoped only to survive, Captain. We never dared dream that our survival would lead to this, to partnership, to growth, to becoming part of something greater than any of us imagined possible." Through the Unity's bioviewing ports, Earth appeared as a blue and green jewel in the cosmic dark, its surface now dotted with the soft bioluminescence of integrated settlements where three species were learning to work together. It was no longer just humanity's world or the Kythera's refuge, it had become the first truly interspecies civilization, and from that foundation, both species were reaching toward a future among the stars that neither could have achieved alone. The age of galactic citizenship had begun.